Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Did you know that new laws have come into force that limit how you advertise for new employees? Restrictions are now in place to ensure job ads offering below minimum wage or award rates are excluded. While that may seem like common sense to some, it'll present a particular hurdle for businesses advertising jobs on piece rates, which are pay rates for the amount picked, packed, pruned or made. The chair of the Council of Small Business Organisations Australia, or COSBOA, Matthew Addison, says the new laws only serve to reinforce existing legislation. And he's describing the detail to Jeff Waters.
This is one that one would have loved to have thought shouldn't actually be required, Jeff. It's one where the law has sought to recognise that in some cases people have been advertising a job with a lower pay rate. In fact, a pay rate below minimum wage levels, below the award that would apply to the job description. So the law has got quite specific and brought in quite implications if you advertise a job that is below the Fair Work Act, the Fair Work Awards, and any award or enterprise agreement, industrial agreement that's in place.
So presumably people who previously were advertising jobs at below award rates were then paying below award rates. Is that not against the law?
And hence the interesting journey that this law takes us on, or this door opens up. It is against the law. You shouldn't have been paying below minimum wage. One of the complications is where a job might be paid on a piece rate. So it's a per activity. And some jobs were being advertised as piece rate work, but ultimately their remuneration would have been below award or below minimum wage. And again, this is aiming to clear up some of those discussions where some employers weren't getting around minimum wages by advertising it as a piece rate, but ultimately that piece rate would never get you above minimum wage.
So a piece rate always has to be above minimum wage as well?
There's an instrument and a calculation, and you need some decent advice to make sure that you advertise the job in a way that is certainly meeting the minimum wage requirements, but also that ultimately that person will get paid according to the award, the industry requirements, the industrial agreements that keep that worker above minimum wage. Jeff, there has been some cases over the last X number of years of certain circumstances allowing somebody to be earning a very low hourly rate because they were being paid for a task. But if you actually did the maths and did the calculation, it was impossible to perform that task enough times to get you minimum wage. You did the task 3 times, you got $9 an hour. The minimum wage is way above the $9 an hour.
Yes, I've heard of people, particularly with deliveries, being paid, for instance, $1 a delivery when it's impossible to make up that as an award wage rate if you are a delivery person, for instance.
Correct.
There's always a next step for your business. There's always help at every stage. As you grow your business, we're here to support you every step of the way. Move forward with Mazars. Visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.
So does COSBOA agree with this? Do you think it's a good idea?
The inclusion of this quite specifically in the law is supported because it calls out best business practice, or even, let's lower the standard a little bit, might not be best business practice, it's compliant business practice. We have a minimum wage system, we have minimum wages, we are looking to protect vulnerable workers or the low paid workers. They should be getting at least minimum wage. The job ads should not be circumventing this world.
Now, the award system can be a bit daunting for an employer because there are so many different levels and different classifications. What would your advice be to somebody who's now thinking of advertising for new staff but needs to check whether they are compliant? How do I go about that?
So we would still very much advise small business to lean on their advisors, lean on their trusted advisor network. The area of industrial relations, the area of interpreting awards, the area of classifying your employee into the right employment level so that you get their hourly rates right. You need to look at that job description that you're about to advertise, look at what they'll be doing, match that to the award, and then make sure that you are advertising and, in fact, then going to pay at least what the award requires you to pay. So seek expert advice, Jeff. Talk to the IR guys, talk to some of the providers out there, lean on your trusted advisor network, the bookkeepers, the accountants, the HR experts, the payroll officers.
So you think it's basically too difficult for an individual to do, or perhaps a bit too dangerous?
What I'm doing is recognising that for small business, the person that is just themselves employing their first worker, I think you used the word before, daunting. HR world, interpretation of awards, it is daunting. And if you're touching it once in a blue moon, you're not going to be on top of the actual requirements. You lean on your trusted advisor who is doing it more often or should be referring to you to somebody who does it all the time. And therefore you're getting compliance advice and you will be compliant with what the law requires you to do.
That was Matthew Addison, Chair of the Council of Small Business Associations Australia. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.